The forest in Alaska doesn't speak the way other forests do. It breathes, it hums under your skin. It watches. Evan knew that on the 5th morning of their trip, the morning the silence became too perfect. He had woken early, the world still frozen in a silver mist, and unzipped the tent just enough to see the dark pines spearing into the sky. No birds, no rustling, it's not even the wind. Only the low whisper of the stream, half hidden behind a ridge. He rubbed the frost from his beard and glanced at his sister. Claire, still cocooned in her sleeping bag. She was younger by 4 years, 22, loud, stubborn, and absolutely fearless. He had promised their mother he'd keep her safe. That had seemed easy when they left Anchorage, all excitement and laughter, trading playlists on the drive north. Now, 50 miles into the bush, it didn't feel easy anymore. They de-planned this for months. A brother-sister trekked through the Talkeetna Range before the season closed. Evan had read the ranger guides, checked their gear twice, packed the bear spray, the flares, the GPS beacon. He knew what could happen out here. He just didn't think it would happen to them. He poured hot water into a tin mug, the scent of coffee mixing with the smell of pine and damp moss. It was a good smell, familiar, but beneath it, something else, a trace of rot. Wet fur. Musk. He told himself it was his imagination. By noon, the mist had lifted, revealing peaks capped with early snow. The air had that metallic taste that comes before a storm. They followed a game trail through the spruce and alder, their packs heavy but their spirits lightening again. Claire was talking about her photography class at the university, how she wanted to make this trip her senior portfolio. Everyone shoots the same boring stuff, she said, her camera swinging from her neck. I want raw, I want wild. Evan smiled. Well, congrats. You've got wild. She grinned, that reckless grin that reminded him of when they were kids jumping from cliffs into the Kenai River. She didn't see the danger. She saw the beauty. He envied that, even as he feared it. By late afternoon, the clouds sank lower, brushing the ridges. The world went gray. They found a narrow valley and decided to make camp before the snow came down hard. Evan gathered deadwood while Claire hung the food bag high between 2 trees, as the ranger had shown them. When the fire finally caught, sparks danced up into the fog. They ate dehydrated stew and talked about everything: their parents, old memories, how quiet the world could be when you left behind every cell signal and streetlight. Then, somewhere beyond the trees, a branch snapped. A clean, hard crack. Evan froze. Claire didn't notice. She was laughing at something on her camera screen. Another crack closer. Then silence. He listened, his skin prickling. Nothing. The forest swallowed it. Everything okay? She asked when she saw his face. Yeah, he lied. Just the wind. But there was no wind. He couldn't sleep. The snow came after midnight, slow wet flakes that melted on the tent fabric, tapping like fingers. Claire was snoring softly, the kind of deep sleep only exhaustion brings. Evan lay still, listening. Then came the breathing, not his, not hers. Something heavier, slower, on the other side of the tent wall. He sat up. Every sound seemed magnified, his heartbeat, his breath. The air stank faintly of something animal and sour. A shape moved outside, blotting out the faint moonlight. It circled once, then again. Evan's hand crept toward the canister of bear spray. He waited, hardly daring to breathe. The shadow paused. For an instant, he saw a massive silhouette, shoulders higher than the tent itself, before it drifted away into the trees. He didn't sleep again that night. At dawn, he stepped outside into a world glazed in ice. His boots crunched through a thin layer of snow, revealing the truth. Tracks. Huge, unmistakable. 5 claws like knife cuts. The prints circled their camp, pressed deep into the ground, leading toward the trees where the food bag had hung. The rope was torn down, clean through. The bag was gone. So was the metal cooking pot. Claire came out, rubbing her eyes. "Oh my God," she breathed. "Is that grizzly?" Evan said. His voice came out flatter than he meant. "A big one." She knelt, tracing the edge of a print with her glove. It came right up to the tent. He looked around. The forest was motionless, every branch heavy with snow. It felt like standing in the aftermath of a nightmare. "We're going back," he said, "but we're only 2 days from the ridge." "No," he snapped. "Oh, we're done. Pack up." She saw something in his face, then something that told her arguing would be useless. They broke camp in silence. The trail had vanished under new snow. Their compass pointed south, but the forest twisted in ways that made direction feel unreliable. The cold bit harder as the day wore on. Evan led, scanning constantly, every movement, every shadow. The bear spray hung at his hip, safety off. He could still smell it faintly, the musky, oily scent that clung to everything. Claire followed a few steps behind, camera still slung around her neck, though she hadn't lifted it in hours. "You think it's following us?" she asked quietly. He didn't answer. Around midday, they crossed a narrow river. The water was black and fast, swollen with melt. Halfway across, Claire slipped, soaking her boots. They reached the opposite bank, shivering, exhausted, and set up a hasty shelter beneath a rock overhang. While she changed socks, Evan checked their supplies, half their food gone with the stolen bag. One of the matches packs wet, the GPS beacon flickering low on battery. He tried to light a fire. The damp wood only smoked. That was when the wind shifted, and he smelled it again. Stronger this time, closer, rot, blood, fur. "Claire," he whispered. "Don't move." She looked up, confusion turning to horror. The bear was standing across the river, 20 yards away, massive and silent. Its fur was a patchwork of mud and scars, its muzzle stained red from some unseen kill. Steam rose from its nostrils. It had found them again. It stepped into the river. The water boiled around its legs, ice breaking against its fur. Evan grabbed the bear spray, but his hands were shaking. Claire scrambled back against the rocks, her breath ragged. "Don't run," he said, though his voice was trembling. "If we run, it'll chase." The bear came closer, deliberate, unstoppable. It lifted its head and roared, a sound so deep it felt like the ground itself screamed. Snow slid from the trees. Evan raised the spray and fired. A bright orange cloud burst toward the animal's face. It stopped, coughing, shaking its head violently. For a second, hope flickered. Then it charged. The impact was pure violence. Evan hit the ground, pain exploding through his ribs. The world became claws and breath and the sound of his own scream. He felt teeth tear into his arm, bone grinding. Claire's voice cut through it, distant, terrified, and then another hiss as she sprayed again, right into the bear's face. The roar that followed was unbearable. The bear stumbled back, shaking its head, blind with pain, then turned and crashed through the trees, breaking branches like thunder. Silence fell, broken only by Evan's ragged gasps. They bound his arm with strips of his shirt. The bleeding slowed, but the pain pulsed with every heartbeat. Claire built a small fire at last, her face streaked with tears and ash. The snow thickened around them, soft and endless. "Don't sleep," she said. "Please don't sleep." He wanted to. He was so tired. "Tell Mom," he murmured. "We made it to the ridge." "Don't say that," she snapped, voice cracking. "You're not dying here." He smiled weakly. "Bossy." She laughed through tears, a short, desperate sound. They stayed awake until dawn. The storm passed. The forest was white and still again, like nothing had happened. But the tracks told another story, wide, deep, fresh again. The bear had circled during the night. Watching, it was the flare that saved them. Claire fired at mid-morning, the red streak climbing into the pale sky. Hours later, the distant hump of a helicopter echoed through the valley. When the Rangers found them, Evan was half-conscious, feverish from infection. Claire's hands were shaking so hard she couldn't even speak. They lifted them into the helicopter, the rotors whipping snow into a white storm. As they rose, she looked down and saw movement below. A dark shape at the tree line, still watching, then gone. Months later, in Anchorage, Evan's wounds had mostly healed. The scars were pale, thick ropes across his arm and shoulder. Reporters came, called him a survivor. The Rangers told him they found the bear, a massive male, nearly 900 pounds, and put it down after it tore apart another camp 2 weeks later. He nodded when they told him, but he didn't feel relief. Just emptiness. Sometimes, when the wind outside his apartment howled through the trees, he would close his eyes and hear it again. That roar, not of rage, but of something older. Hunger, territory, nature reminding him what he truly was, a visitor who had walked too far into its heart. A year later, Claire returned to the Talkeetna Range alone, this time just for a day. She left a small wooden charm on a spruce branch near where it happened. Her camera hung at her chest, the same one she'd carried that morning. She took a single photo of the clearing. The river frozen now, the trees still. In the picture, the snow looked undisturbed. But when she zoomed in later, there were faint impressions in the shadows behind the spruce wide round, half buried by new snow. Tracks, and then she remembered her brother's words. The forest breathes. It watches, and the silence pressed in once more.